Hello and welcome to the North American Guitar Showroom in London. A very exciting talking guitar session, and it's actually the last talking guitar session that we have done in our old showroom in London. As you know, we've now moved, so allow me to introduce the one and only Mr. Willy Porter.
Pleasure to be here, my friend. Thank you.
Well, it's just a whirlwind that you managed to squeeze us in.
Oh, grateful to do it.
Because this tour is pretty brutal.
It has been. We just we did 6 days in a row, which is about as many as I'd like to ever do. But it's about 3 weeks long.
How does the voice hold up for 6 days back to back?
Just lots of rest and water, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fortunate. It's been a great run. It really has. So. And
so you've done, was that 6 shows in the UK?
I think we're up to about 13 we did in the UK, and over that time period I had to travel back to the States for a gig in the middle, which was kind of unfortunate but fortunate at the same time. So we had to push things back and make changes, and as you do.
Yeah. And now you're going to, I saw Germany is next on the on the board.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's really been great, man. It's really great.
And this is your forgive me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
This is your 12th album.
I think it's 11th or 12th. I kind of don't really keep track. I wish I could tell you. But yeah, somewhere around there.
That is just amazing. That is just so amazing. And when you do a tour that you're primarily promoting a new record, obviously you must get a lot of requests from fans wanting you to play past tracks.
Sure.
How do you sort of cherry pick the ones that you want to showcase the new record on, or do you play the whole thing, or how do you sort of get your set list together?
There are a couple that I want to hit that I think really capture the flavor of that album. Mm-hmm. But the shows are really a mix of stuff old and new, and I don't really write a set list. I usually think about 3 or 4 tunes I know that I want to hit, and then if somebody yells something, I'll be happy to have a go at that.
Wow,
so
that's great.
It's fun.
That's really cool, man. And have you ever been caught off guard where you're like, oh wow, that was a pretty difficult tuning, let me just try to figure that out?
Yeah, I certainly have, and I think there's stuff that doesn't really fall into your hands unless you visit it pretty often.
Yeah.
So for that reason, some of the more difficult stuff that I do, for me, I try to sort of stay sharp with.
Yeah. It's because you have quite a plethora of different tunings that you use throughout a set. So are you constantly just talking to the audience, tuning the guitar differently? Do you have multiple guitars? How do you manage it?
Well, the whole approach for me has been that the tunings, having to change tunings on stage, really forced me to talk and learn how to talk, Yeah. So the show is as interactive verbally between the songs as it is musically for me. And that just empowers, all the bullshit and all the stuff that you're going to say that's, all improvisational. Yeah. So that's a gift, and I usually try to script the songs so that they fall. You're only changing 2 or 3 strings. If it's a 6-string move, I try to work towards that, knowing that that's going to be something I'll do, or I'll start there. And I tend to start with very low tunings at the beginning of the set, and then gravitate towards bringing the guitar up to pitch, or to more of a standard tuning as the show goes by. Just because the strings move so much.
Yeah.
But thankfully, because I'm working with Jason and his guitars, you don't have to chase it and temper it a lot. You can, it's intonated very well. So that's been a real gift.
Yeah, I mean, all of his instruments, just the intonation is unbelievable.
It is spotless.
It is absolutely spotless. And also, of course, being a phenomenal vocalist, it does help a little bit if you start low and go high. Stretch the old muscles out by the time you're hitting
that's right.
You're hitting that falsetto spot on.
No need to start out with a sprint here.
Yeah. Why bother?
That's aging muscles, all that. Yeah.
So tell us, how did you first meet Jason? Because when we first got this little email thing going on that you were coming to town, we were all very excited here. And Jason was, he and I were talking a lot on Facebook chat and on the phone. But how did your relationship with him start?
Basically, he grew up in my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he came to know my music when I think he was in high school and stuff. And my band was just starting to release records and so on. And many years went by, at which point he studied at the conservatory in Milwaukee, studied fingerstyle guitar. So you may not know what a great player he really is.
I know.
He's a fabulous player.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so from there, things we kind of went on these divergent paths and so forth. I worked with this great luthier, and still do, Gordy Bischoff, who's based in Wisconsin. And Gordy and I went together to the Memphis Guitar Show, and that's where I reconnected with Jason and saw him. And I asked if I could get on his waiting list for a guitar, and he was very kind and helped me. And I got an instrument from him, which is Birdie, which is the LM that I'm playing now. And so that's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, and he is just, I can only imagine, obviously we work with customers right from the inception to delivery, and just the journey that they go on and that we get to see.
Yeah.
It's just truly magical, and it's something that Jason takes so very, very seriously, and it's a wonderful thing. So I can only imagine what it must have been like for yourself, having known each other and reconnecting. And
yeah, it's really...
Birdie sounds pretty great, by the way.
I
heard you playing it.
Yeah, it's a great guitar, and it's what's interesting is that he interviews whoever's buying the guitar and then puts all these details into the story. And in many cases, I'm not sure that the person who's buying the guitar or commissioning the work from him is aware of the detail that he's taking on account. So these stories about relationships in someone's lives or the things that matter to them, they all factor into the build. And so I had a pet crow as a kid, and it was just an amazing animal. And I told Jason this story about what that thing meant to me, and I've learned so much from it. And then that factored in a very beautiful way into the guitar. So he put a crow on the back of the headstock that only I will see. So it's one of those kinds of things where you're playing it and you look down and you think, wow, that's it's really connecting me to the instrument in a way. So those are the kinds of details and flourishes and things that he takes very seriously, I think, and it helps the player have more of a spirit investment in the actual instrument itself.
Absolutely, and the bond between artist and, forgive the banging, there's a lot of elephants that walk around upstairs here.
Fair enough. As long as they don't steal any guitars.
Yeah, exactly. The sort of relationship that one develops, luthier and artist, is a very special bond, I think, that, because you are their voice, and just hearing what you can do on any instrument, let alone one of Jason's, is truly remarkable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think also that the understanding of a lot of luthiers have that the guitar becomes this sort of portal to the metaphysical, if you will, that if you're going to truly express on it and invest in it, any sort of little details or things that help the player get into that inner space of translating something, writing a new piece of music on it, or being able to be open to the song in front of a public, performance.
Yeah.
Any of these little things that are going to empower the musician to feel more connected to the music, these are all valuable tools, and great luthiers, Jason, Gordy, they all put these things in place to make it happen.
And so you just touched on writing. So what do you have a process? Do you take a break away and get into a headspace where you want to invest time? Do you have ideas? I mean, where do you start?
I do. For me, I just catalog little snips and ideas and things, and then I'll go back. I look at it as sort of composting, and then when I get into the process of writing, I get stuck all the way in. So I can't. Some folks can turn that off and on 2 hours a day and do that kind of writing by sort of appointment with yourself, if you will. I can't. I have to. It's once I'm in there, I become tough to live with. I'm up really long hours, but I find that I have to really commit myself completely to that. I can't function as, I'll dabble with that. I'll write this tune. It's either all the way in or not.
Yeah, that's. I feel that's the way it should be.
You're in.
You're in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and you hope for that. But I think building a life that would support that kind of investment of time and energy, very difficult to sustain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, when you're performing as much as you are, when you're playing, all over the world, you want each individual piece. You want to be invested in that piece at every performance. You never want the mind to be drifting. You want to be so immersed in the music.
Yeah.
And I think that it's I don't think people appreciate how hard the touring is, especially for headspace. So when you are playing something that you've invested so much time, love, and energy, emotionally writing it.
Yes.
When you're playing it in front of an audience, you go back to that space.
That's so well said. It's so true too, is that the only point you're actually in control of what's happening is that moment that you step on stage and you're in that song. So the rest of it is all getting there. It's all to support that moment. So the last thing I want is to be thinking about food or thinking about someplace else.
Yeah.
So, and then when you're there, it's like, how do I get out of the way of the song? All the things that could happen to you on the way. You missed the bus, your guitar didn't make it, some piece of gear doesn't work. These are all things that stand in the way of that transmission. So eliminating them, I call it stage nesting. So when you go up and you set up that little area that you are, it's like there's something really sacred that, at least for me, that has to happen here, where I commune with this music. And the audience will witness that, and they're very much a part of the journey, but it's like, how do I serve this music? I mean, that's the key to the whole thing. And so I'm always trying to refine that, the balance being act.
Yeah, it's kind of like that nesting. It's so true.
Yeah.
You like things in certain areas, certain spots where I could be in one city and then another city the next, and I know if I do that, I'm going to pick up my capo or my glass of water or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also just the frequency content of the music that you're playing.
Yeah.
If the monitors, learning how to communicate to the engineers involved that, hey, I need less of this frequency range here, I need more of it here, this is what's happening, this is what's coming from the instrument, and if we treat it properly, this is what will be communicated. And so just understanding how to interface with these people quickly, effectively, in a kind way, it sets the tone for the whole night. It's just magic.
In a kind way is probably the most important thing.
Amen.
Because what you're dealing with, we could go really deep here. When you are dealing with different individuals night after night, and to try to explain what you're looking for, what you're trying to hear when you're playing, is a real art form in itself. And if it's done as they have different artists coming in and out every single night, if it's not done in a manner where they could get their barriers up and they could defend, that can have a massive impact into your performance. And not that I've done as many gigs as you, but I always found that when talking to a sound engineer, really sort of just spending time with them, as soon as you get there, I would always go over, shake hands, introduce myself, get up on stage, get the monitors up and say, this is what my guitar does, this is the pick I'm using, this is its weaknesses, this is its, its positives, and try to work. And by the time you kind of got to that sound check, at the end of it, you're just best buds for that one night,
Exactly.
And the sound's going to be okay.
And if you think about it, they're really trying to help you. And I've toured with people where there was this instant adversarial kind of relationship, and you think, well, why have you gone and done that? Because that's just put everything in front of us. Now we have more obstacles to overcome. That person's upset, and so they're, whatever. Can I have more kick drum? Well, no. Whatever the obstacle may be, it's just a lot easier when you know your rig, you know exactly what you want to communicate, and you know what you need, and being able to express that clearly and quickly, but also respectfully is really, it's a dance.
It is definitely a dance. And so, do you have a favourite song on the new record? I mean, I should say, just for our viewers, the name of the new record
is Mnemonic.
Brilliant. Where's Mnemonic come from?
Mnemonic is just each one of the songs is sort of acts as a trigger for me. So I hear the tune and it puts me in a certain space and makes me visualize things in a memory way. So I use them, That's
awesome. And that goes right the way back to the songwriting and the composing. And do you have a favourite song on it?
I think probably the song that my friend L.J. Booth wrote, Akasha Wind. I covered his song, and I've been playing it for years and years, and saw him at a festival earlier this year and thought, I need to record this song. It's such a beautiful piece, and especially when environmental protections and things are under attack in the States and elsewhere. Just the idea of the wind having this consciousness, and also the sustainability of the world is a real issue for me. And so, recording that tune it made a lot of sense, and it's just a beautiful piece of work from him. So
amazing.
Yeah.
And so, what is the next step after the tour, after the records? You know, take some time off. Or?
Take some time off. I've got a little more touring back in the States. And then I'm going to get stuck in with this trio that I work with a lot, a drummer and bass player.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that on social media from Jason and all the sharing the posts. That must be exciting.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to working with them, and great players, and we're going to try to make an sort of band record where everybody plays, they are themselves, but how do we make these elements work together in a new way? So sort of reimagining what that could be. So I'm really excited for that. It should be a lot of fun.
That's great. And if you're ever in Nashville, you have to stop by, because we've actually just opened up a new showroom in Nashville. So if you're ever in Nashville and you want to come down and play some songs, we'd sure like to have you there.
Love that. Love it. Yeah.
Well, can I just say thank you so much for stopping by. I know you are incredibly busy, and
grateful to do it.
Also, you've done a couple of wonderful guitar demos for us today on some beautiful Costal instruments. Which is so rare to have in one, let alone have a couple in.
Yeah, there's a few in here. It's pretty magical stuff, and so much other great stuff. I'd never played a Wilburn before.
Oh, Ben's great.
Crazy great. And the guitar builder from Surrey, I don't remember her name, but I played one of...
Rosie. Oh, yeah, she is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, she is awesome. Turnstone guitars.
What's it called?
Turnstone.
Yeah. Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, she is wonderful.
You just, you guys have such a great collection. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
you very much. Yeah. It's a real pleasure. And you're right. We are spoiled.
You really are.
And I can only say, with the greatest respect to what we do, if it wasn't for these amazing luthiers and for players like yourself, then you make our job a hell of a lot easier. I'll tell you that.
Man. Gratitude, my friend.
The last interview, wow, look at that, got a bit emotional. Last interview here, not the last interview. Yeah. So, thank you very much again.
Pleasure's mine.
For more information on the finest luthier built instruments, then please do subscribe to this channel. But for more information on the wonderful Willy Porter, please do get in touch. We'll definitely put a link to his website, the touring dates, and of course the new record. Thanks.